One. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Interviewing the Legends. I'm your host, Ray Shasho. Ross Valory always had pieces of music tucked away that he had written, although songwriting contributions to Journey slipped away after the first three experimental albums. As an original member of the multi-platinum juggernaut of Don't Stop Believin fame, bassist Valory concentrated on shaping the rhythm section and contributing his baritone vocals to the background blend. 1995, Valory began sorting through his files and polishing up some of his old notes. In between Journey tour dates, he pulled together a tight knit group of collaborators and slowly began to finish what he started. After a lifetime in music, the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer etched his first solo album, All of the Above, released in April of this year. The 9 tracks on the album represented the full maturity of Valory's musical gifts, cutting a broad swath through the instrumental territory that music travels. He plays keyboards, guitar, and of course, many basses in a display of cultivated virtuosity across a palette far broader than could be found in his work with Journey. He is stepping out from behind his bass, and for the first time in his more than half century as a professional musician, representing his vision and his compositions. Valory, who spent most of his life as a member of Journey, has no regrets. He counts his blessings and having spent an amazing career with a remarkable group of musicians who succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. Valory brings a lifetime in music to his solo excursions. All of the above, a true labor of love, represents a culmination of experience at the same time as it points to the future. Whatever came into my ears and brain came out in various ways, he said. I have been revisiting material that has been piling up over the years, off and on, and carrying it forward. Please welcome Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, bass guitarist, singer, songwriter, most recognized, of course, for playing with the legendary Journey, Ross Valory, to Interviewing the Legends. Hello, Ross.
You know, after all that has been said so well, that's it. There's nothing more to
We're
say.
done.
It's been great seeing you, Ray.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
man.
All kidding aside, thank you for that very concise narrative. Well done.
Oh, of course.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you for all the great years you've given us, man.
oh, shucks.
Uh, I want to tell you, man, the new album's incredible. I gave it 5 stars, if that's
Wow.
okay.
Wow. Well, I couldn't hope for more in a music review. Thank you so much.
It's fantastic. It's got all the genres that I love, you know. Here's what I said about it. I hope you like it. I said Ross Valory's new solo album, entitled All of the Above, is transcendent and riveting. Epic musical elements of jazz fusion, cool jazz, ambient, Latin grooves, and progressive rock, performed by the finest musicians. The album features special guest artists Prairie Prince, Michael Cotton, Gregorico, Neil Sean's son Miles, sax great Mark Russo, and co-produced by Eric Levy and Jacob Stell. All of the above is an absolute winner and should be enjoyed by all music lovers of all genres. It's great. I love it.
Well, thanks. Starting to blush, but just think some really. I might comment about Michael Cotton
Okay.
having provided the music videos. Michael has known to have been a performing musician, but in
Right.
this case, he being Prairie Prince's partner in crime
Right.
from Tube's days, has taken the helm and, and with a great amount of freedom and imagination with doing the music videos.
Those videos are really cool. Did he use AI at all in those videos?
He uses AI, and the question is it AI generated? Yes, but no. Most
Right.
people will take, they'll feed what they want to see, they'll feed the program with data and information, and they push the button. He
Hmm.
doesn't do that. He continues to take what it provides and change it and manipulate it. And Michael calls it illustration rather
It's
than AI generated. And Prairie, on the other hand, there it
hmm
should not only did he record the drums on Tomland, but he's provided all the artwork that you've seen to date, and possibly more as things develop. He did all the title cards for the videos, of which there are 4 on my YouTube channel. Blah blah blah, but they're really really fun videos. In some cases, just to me, just almost overwhelming. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're awesome. You got a lot of views, man. You got a lot of
Yeah,
people that love those videos. I've had Prairie Prince on the show. I've had Greg Garico on the show. Great guys.
there
Um,
you.
Prairie does a lot of great art.
He does, and he and Michael have been at it for years, from
Hmm.
doing frescoes and everything they've done over the years is pretty amazing. And of course, he's not too bad on the drums as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm writing a book. It's getting close to being finished. And actually Michael Shreve from
Yes.
Santana, the drummer, he wants to do my cover because he's into AI now, but maybe I should also ask Prairie and those guys if they want to do the cover.
Well,
Hmm.
Prairie and Michael make a pretty intimidating team there. They
Yeah.
are a force to be reckoned with, and I'm so happy, so blessed to have them both involved with the project, along with all these other fine musicians from song to song.
I got a quick story about Mark Russo.
Uh
The,
oh.
the Doobies came to Sarasota and they were at one of the swanky hotels here.
Mm-hmm.
I saw them at the bar and they were all drinking, including Michael Hasek, which I ending up in his room. Uh,
Wow.
Me and 2 other guys just screwing around, looking through the computer and looking up stuff.
Uh
But
huh. Mm-hmm.
those guys were drinking, and
Yeah.
I offered to pay for their drinks. And me, like an idiot, didn't think, wow, these are the Doobie Brothers. They're probably buying a lot, expensive drinks.
Grand
Cost me a bunch.
numbers. There
And
you
Mark was
go.
one of
Oh, he
them.
absolute fun. Just,
Yeah, those are great guys.
of
All
course,
right.
being mentioned him, he's fairly present on many of the songs on the album.
Oh, he's a
Yeah.
great sax player. It's incredible,
Oh,
you know?
yes, and he is local when he's home,
Hmm.
as as are almost all of the players on these songs. There's a long list, but
Right.
either they did live here when they recorded, or they do at least when they're not busy on the road. But it's been interesting how I find time to grab Carlo Perazzo when he's not out uh, working percussion with Carlos or Mark Russo. I've just been fortunate to grab these people when they had time.
Yeah.
I, the only person that's moved away is Gregorico. He's somewhere in Calabria.
Hmm.
And Walfredo Reyes moved out to live with his lovely girlfriend, I think in Cincinnati, if I've
Hmm.
got it right. Some people have left, but I grabbed them while I could, and very happy with everything they've done.
You know, your jazz roots, I can see. And they might have came from your mom, right? Because didn't she introduce you to like Brubeck and a bunch of jazz
She
guys?
she did. My mom and my dad introduced me and my siblings to all kinds of music. I
Hmm.
mean, it was is a the what I was exposed to, it was it as eclectic as what all of the above is. I mean, there's just so many influences, and I do have a background in symphonic
Hmm.
work, bass clarinet and a cappella choirs and men's choruses and Dixieland and all
Wow.
kinds of things that factored into uh, being talked into joining a rock and roll band when I was in high school. But yeah, the jazz influence is Brubeck and beyond. Yeah, there was
Hmm.
fine music that I still listen to. If I have my choice, whether it's in the car or with whatever I can get on the net or even on a cable system, it's a good classical station, a good jazz station. And speaking of jazz stations, one of the best is here in the Bay Area,
Hmm.
KCSM. If anybody's a jazz fan, they may remember K Jazz as the
Hmm.
ultimate station that gave up the ghost a few decades ago. Their library went to KCSM, College of San Mateo, and boys, that's some good stuff. And a great classical station. But in terms of influences, yes, there's a lot there that has come out and in three or four of the songs on the album. And I'm glad you see it as jazz, because I can't say that it's purely jazz or purely Latin or purely Latin jazz. I'm kind of like a painter. I'm an impressionist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what most of the songs are, is impressionism. And I'm glad you like it, Ray.
Oh, I love it, man. It's incredible. Um, I'm going to go over some tracks with you. First of all, Wild Kingdom, which is really cool. And I like the video for it too. It's really, really different. Um,
Yes,
yeah, of course, it reminds me, it kind of reminded me, remember the old movie Hatari with John Wayne and Red Buttons a long time ago with the elephants? That came to mind for some reason.
I have a secret for you, but
Okay.
maybe ask the question first.
Okay. Oh, there wasn't a question. I just wanted to mention.
Are you old enough to remember Mutual of
Of
Omaha?
course. Wild Kingdom. Yeah.
American Wild Kingdom. And
Ah,
that
okay. Now I got the
little,
connection.
they had this hokey little sort of semi-African Caribbean tune. I can't remember what it was. When I was creating this song years ago with a Calliope patch on a DX7, and I was playing only black keys, so it's all pentatonic, no white keys, sorry. And I'm going, Marlon Perkins live.
That's funny.
Oh, there is a little there's a little underlying humor there. Wild Kingdom, and it stuck. I never changed the name.
Mhm.
It stuck, but it's in honor of Marlon Perkins, who did all the talking in front of the camera while that other guy was being strangled by
Yeah,
boa
Jim Fowler.
Well, what we have here? Yeah, Wild Kingdom.
I used to love Jim Fowler, man. He was on Johnny Carson show a lot. He was great. He used to bring all the animals on the show and everything. That's a great track.
So
Nightflower.
so much for that track.
Yeah.
Actually, something a little more to say about it.
Hmm.
It's actually the first song that I began to work with Eric Levy on.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
it's really the first track, and that's where we started working together with my old friend who passed away and
Yeah.
was my mentor and so helpful, Tom Size. Tom and Eric and I recorded the basics for that to a click track, and that's where I began with Eric, and he's been working closely with me ever since. Fine, versatile keyboard player that understands me. He can
Hmm.
hear anything I play, and then he remembers it months later. I'm just amazed. So
Wow.
Eric can stay definitely, but he and I and Tom recorded the basics for that, and we brought in Carl Parazzo, and he says, "I've got your drummer." And Carl brings in Walfredo Reyes,
Hmm.
a former Santana drummer,
Yep.
and that's how the project actually began. But just 2 weeks before that, Journey was supporting Santana in Mexico, and there might have been a Puerto Rican date. I'm not sure, but on the last day off was the day before everybody went home, and I'm hanging out in the hotel, and Carl's walking by with this pair of hand painted high top tennis shoes done by a famous Mexican artist. And he sits down. I said, "What are you doing?" And I said, I got this song idea. I got it. I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "What are you doing next week?" He goes, "I'm free." So that's actually how it began. Not only with Carl, who's very prevalent through the album, many of the songs, but
Yeah.
that was Carl and Eric and I, and that's where it went from there. So there's something about that song that kicked things into gear. Basically, that's why I started
Hmm.
complete what I had begun on songs that are in some cases decades old.
Right. Wild Kingdom could be like a soundtrack to something, the beginning of a movie or, you know.
I feel the same, and many of the people I played the music for, even before it got released, so many people, whether they're musicians or just friends who like music, they all say soundtrack, and
Yeah,
and that
soundtrack. Yeah.
that is whether it's intended or just it's what it is. That's the way I write.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of stuff I think would suit itself to soundtracks, along with several of the other songs. But good point, Ray.
You got a whole nother life here, you know that? You're going to start a whole new career here, you know, making these kind of songs. That's
Well, I'm
great.
happy doing it,
Yeah.
Ray. And some people have thought, well, this is his complete anthology. That's it. No,
No,
it's not.
of course not.
I've been recording ever since, and I've got a
Yeah.
bunch of other stuff. If I told you about it, I'd have to kill you. But there's a lot more to bring forward in
Right.
terms of favorite cover songs and other compositions. And then in the process, new things happen as well. So
Sure.
I'm not going to run out. I'm actually
Good.
writing stuff too, but this is just the beginning. You got all of the above, and then maybe more of the above.
Good.
I was
Good. Awesome. We need that.
tracked,
We need that today.
tracked by Tomland for your status, sort of, maybe.
Yeah. I just want to mention Nightflower has some awesome sax on that. Who are the musicians on Nightflower?
Okay, I should mention Nightflower and No One Wins the War, which is the end piece. These
Right.
are two recordings that I brought forward from a
Right.
project from the early 2000s in which I was working with George Tickner, a guitarist and original member of Journey,
Mm-hmm.
with a keyboardist named Steve Roseman. And it's a project that didn't, I completed mixing and mastering the material, but it never got released per se. And I looked back at this material with George and Steve and decided that Nightflower and No One Wins should come forward.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a composition that George and Steve and I created together, and it features Steve Smith on the drums and George Tickner on the guitar. And what I did is I brought it forward and recorded Mark Russo on the saxophone there, and added Eric Levy for other keyboards.
Mm-hmm.
I kept the original bass parts, which is a B bass for the fundamental
Right.
supporting bass part, and a Steinberger fretless. And so that's how that came about.
It's a great song, man. Awesome.
And
Tomland, that video is incredible. It's a wonderful dedication to Tom Size, you know?
it, it is. And again, Michael Cotton runs wild.
Mm,
The only idea I gave him, I said, if a person is walking on a country road, as the terrain changes and the topography, and it's a country road, and some point where it gets powerful with the guitar solo, a thunderstorm and
hmm
lightning, and he ran with the whole thing. That was just took a simple idea and created something sort of mysterious as
hmm
to what does it have to do with Tom Size, but it's a wandering, it's a wondering, it's a quest. And Tomland was the name of Tom Size's production company, by the way. So
Okay.
I was wandering in Tomland there.
Yeah. It's almost like you could, you know, maybe he's in heaven too, you know?
There
Who
you
knows?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Of course, that's one of 4 current videos on
That's
YouTube.
right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
liked how you've released 4 videos on the album. That's great. You know, more
Well,
people should do that.
Michael is in the process of completing music videos for all of the
Good.
songs.
Good.
Yeah. Now, Lowrider just landed on the summer solstice a few days ago, but
Awesome.
that's 4 of 8.
Wow. That's great. That's great. Because the videos are so cool. I mean, people love those videos. You're
And
like I don't know, it's almost like you guys are the first ones to use that AI correctly, you know? And
yeah, there's this thing about, is that AI generated? Well, yes and no.
half and
It's
half maybe. Yeah.
but he continues to manipulate it. He
Right.
calls it illustrating. And I think it's a very original approach to AI. I've seen them feed it and push the button. It's this
Right.
kind of stuff, but he uses it as a tool rather than as a source of creativity.
Yeah, I may have to give him a call for my book.
Well, there you go. I get 10%.
No problem. You can have it all. I don't care. I just want the book out there.
As a matter of fact, it's this whole endeavor is not about carving out uh, uh, another piece in the music industry. This is just an opportunity for people to
Exactly.
hear all the other stuff as
Yeah.
I play.
I've done I don't know, over 600 interviews. I've been doing this for 11 years.
Yes,
I haven't made a nickel, and I don't care. I do
you're
it for the love of music.
having fun.
I'm having
So
fun. Yeah.
so good.
That's the important thing. But I've written 3 or 4 books. So that's good. Um, Touched Part 2 kind of sounded a little bit like a James Bond bass, you know. Heard a little James Bond. It's kind of an ambient sound there too, which I love. I'm really into ambient.
Yeah, the again, James, there's some dissonance there, so some clashing intervals there
Right.
in and it is very raw and it's uncertain. In fact, when I was playing it, I wasn't too sure, and so it's something that's very emotional. And the idea I had for that as a video was more like desert scenes or
Hmm.
a, a coastal reef scene with weaving um, seaweed and sea creatures and
Hmm.
stuff. But Michael ran with it in a completely different way. But you've yet to see what he did with it. You've
Very
yet to,
cool.
yeah. But yeah, it's a very raw and emotional, tense song. Um, and I think it's just very expressive
Yeah.
and likely lending itself to to film, which would
Hmm.
be, wouldn't it?
Yep. And Windmill. Okay. You know what's cool about Windmill? It sounds like the hip 60s sound, you know?
Yes.
And of course it's got that Latin beat, got the sax, it's a really cool song.
Yeah, it's set in a certain time period for a certain style,
Right.
and that's what it is. Some of these songs will take you to a different time in a
Mhm.
different place, and it's sort of illustrative that way. Yeah, Windmill's got a flavor of the past, but I think it's arranged and produced sort of in a modern way. There's a lot going on in that song. There's a lot of detail, and if you've got a proper sound system or even a good set of headphones, there's a lot to hear in
Hmm.
there.
Are you playing guitar on all the
I play all
on the
the
track?
guitar.
Okay.
Windmill is Windmill 2. I don't want to
Okay.
confuse people here, but it's originally written as a 6/8 acoustic guitar piece that's finger picked. And so eventually, Windmill 1 will come out, and then people will
Hmm.
be confused. But as the Touch Part 1 will come out sooner or later, that's in the works.
Oh, good. Good, 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 good.
Yes. So some of these songs are set in a certain time period,
Right.
a certain station, and it's you could say it's nostalgic or just a good look back at something that was really cool.
Hmm. Each song is a story, and it's like cinematic, man. You can picture, you know,
There you go.
yeah,
There
different
you
times, different, it's great. I love music like that. One of my favorite Santana songs, of course, I always love the Braxes. And how do you say, is it Neshaber? Neshabar? What is it?
go. Deshabur.
Neshaber, Incident in Neshaber, which is one of my favorite tunes. And you nailed it. Oh, you nailed that song.
Well, it's one of my favorites that didn't get as much notice as some of the other songs,
Right.
and understandable, but that one always stuck with me. Um, there's another one, I can't remember which album it's called. Folsom Street is another cool tune. Anyhow, uh, Incident was one of those songs that I've always liked and wanted to do something with, and finally got around to it.
It's great.
Yeah.
I actually had Greg Raleigh on the show way back when. He's in my book, The
Uh huh.
Rockstar Chronicles. And
Ah,
we talked, and I told him one of my favorite tunes was Hope You're Feeling Better, which he actually wrote. And
yep,
that's the
yep,
other song on the Santana Brax's album that I really love. Maybe you should
yes.
do that one next.
Story behind this. I was set and had incident all mapped out and booked, and everybody, we were going to do it.
Right.
And driving around, listening to KCSM
Mm-hmm.
once again, and there's this tune that comes on, and I'm going, "Wow, that's that's so much like the bass part, the rhythms, the whole foundation of the song is just like Incident in Nishabur." And I'm going, "Oh, what is this?" And I finally heard that it was Horace Silver singing "Your Blue," and I went back and I said to Eric, I said, we've got to include "Saying You're Blue." They work
Mm-hmm.
together. Let's keep them in their own keys because "Saying You're Blue" suits a saxophone in E flat. We'll keep the tempo and we'll find a way to transition from one to the other because they complement each other so well.
Yep.
Only about 3 months ago, Ray, did
Mm-hmm.
I hear about an interview with Carlos in which he said point blank, he and Albert Cinquento were inspired by Senor Blue to do it. So I've got it backwards, but at least it's backwards, but it still works. Yeah.
Well, it's a great segue into Senior
And
Blue.
one
Yeah.
songs, and we had the majority of the players were in the room at the same time. What a concept!
Very cool.
Live interaction. Yeah.
Sounded a little bit like Jeff Beck in a way, that Senior Blue part. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
That's a compliment. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Low Rider, is that you singing?
No, a lot of people
No?
ask me that. I have a deep voice, but it's
Yeah.
never predictably book the time and show up in front of the microphone and actually have it work.
Mm-hmm.
In order to sound like the guy who did it, I would need to stay up all night and drink tequila and smoke cigarettes. I know a guy who's not known for vocals. He's a fine guitarist, Josh Ramos,
Right.
who played the Storm with Greg Raleigh and I, and he's got the perfect voice for that 24/7. So I brought him in and produced his vocals. And no, it's not me.
Hmm. That's a great tune, man. You do a great job on that. I had Lee Oscar on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Greg Rico actually did a gig with Lee at
Yep.
Tommy's Blues Club in San Jose long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, gee, why not bring Greg in for this?
Yeah.
Um, Lowriders, again, one of those songs where the majority of the players were in the room at the same time. So it has also that live conversational thing, especially towards the end.
You know who your talking voice reminds me of two people. One, he's a friend of mine, Corky Lang.
Ah,
You sound like Corky. And actually Mark Farner. Mark Farner's got that, but he sings, and when he sings, he's totally different than his talking voice, you know?
yeah, it's a thing. I don't
I would think you would have a good singing voice, you know?
think I do, but I'm a little shy.
Oh, it's
I'll
okay.
I'll get around to it
You'll
sooner
get
or later.
around to it. Well, the album ends with "No One Wins a War," which it's a really cool track. What were you accomplishing with that track? What kind of mood did you want to set there?
Well, like Touched, it was a
Mm-hmm.
very emotional point in my life, and as with Touch, it was created very quickly and was recorded very quickly. It's one of those songs that just fell out and emotional tune. It began with the underlying uh, finger picked 5 string bass part, and the melody just fell out. And all I did with that song, having it brought forward from the Tickner Roseman project, was to add some additional keyboards to it. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
everything there is original to the first recording. And it's an end piece. It can be considered like a benediction or something like that. It's
Yeah.
It's a closing piece, and it's really short piece at that.
Very short piece, yeah. Well, your album wants me to want more. Well, I guess that's a good thing.
Well, you can stay, and
I,
there is more
yeah,
already. Got
good.
3 or 4 in the can as we speak, and there's more
Yeah.
to go. But we've yet to play out the full release of the album material, and that singles with music videos will continue all the way to No One Wins the War.
Would it be
So
cool if you can tour a little with the same players on the album?
I would love to. That's not likely. But then again, maybe you could invest in paying for all these musicians, and
Yeah,
and I would love to, and it would be called the Human Beings Orchestra.
that would be
But
great.
that's what it would take to cover all the material. Um, Not a practical thing, but it's a really good dream.
Yeah. You could get into some improvisation and just, have a couple of songs where you guys just wail together.
Right.
That'd be cool.
Well,
Yeah.
you do the material that suits the players you have in the room.
Yeah.
That's practical thing.
You guys mesh so well together too, I think.
Well, there's so many of them, and they hardly ever are home.
Yeah.
Well, with Ray, we
That's
must move on. Sound good?
that's
And
fine. That's
I
fine.
think we speak again.
Yeah, I think so.
You
I
know
just
how
I
to
just I just want to mention a couple things if we can. I was a Journey fan before Steve Perry. We look into the future. You're very prod, which I loved.
yeah.
And you and Greg, Ansley Dunbar. I met Ansley a couple of times backstage. He's a great guy.
Yes.
I also want to mention Automatic Man,
Oh,
another
automatic.
San Francisco act.
That was my.
I had him on the show recently, by the way.
Wasn't Shreve in that band?
I think he was. He was in that band. Yeah. But I had Todd Cochran on the show recently. I just wanted to mention that because he's another San Francisco guy.
Hey, did you? Speaking of San Francisco bands that were incredible that nobody knows about, the Fourth Way.
Okay. I don't know
Look,
them.
look up the Fourth Way.
I
An
will.
incredible band of the late '60s, early '70s.
Okay.
Yeah, check them out.
I'll do that.
Well, we know how to find each other, and we
Oh
should.
yeah, definitely.
Would you have more thing to say?
Do I have one more question? This is a question I ask everybody. If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie, to perform with, collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be?
Well, John McLaughlin. I'd be scared shitless, but what an amazing musician he is. Yeah, I mean, if I could just name one, and that's the first
that's fine.
to mind, but that is that, I think that's a good answer.
You guys would mesh well together.
Well, I'd like to think so. In fact,
Yeah.
I've got a piece I'm working on that honors him. That's
I'm gonna
all
I'll put my feelers out to John. Okay.
Yes.
I hooked him up with Michael Franklin, the producer, recently.
Mhm.
So yeah, that sounds good.
There you go.
That'll be awesome. Oh, really quick, I want to say special thanks to Jody Best Promotions for arranging this interview, of course.
Thank you, Jody. And she will hook us up again.
Good. And you can get your the album All of the Above. I saw it on Amazon Music. Where else can they buy it?
Anywhere.
Anywhere. It's available everywhere. And you're on
And
Facebook, you're on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music. Ross, thank you so much for being on the show today, man.
Ray, let's
It's a
do
real
this.
pleasure. And I love the album.
And I love you, man. You can
I love
stay.
you too.
Thank you.
You too. Take care, man. Bye-bye.